right, peace and much love. Zin Uru here. Welcome to the latest message from the Minista. This week's message from the Minista is hip-hop is a lifestyle. Hip-hop is a lifestyle. This is our 18th message from the Minista, and like every 9, if you go to number 9, it was just a little bit looser message from the Minista, a little bit lighter topic and subject matter, just something to kind of get the juices flowing and celebrate that we made it through 9 more of these. This being number 18, that's really special. We've got 18 principles of the divine performance. We've got the 18 principles of the Hip Hop Declaration of Peace. And we also have the 18 overstandings in the gospel of hip hop. And of course, 9, we're dealing with the 9 elements: breaking, MCing, graffiti art, DJing, beatboxing, street fashion, street language, street knowledge, and street entrepreneurialism. So 9 and 18, these are the numbers that we use in the temple of hip hop specifically. And I was just thinking today, I had a lot of ideas and things to go for a message for the Minista this week. And this one just kind of flowed with just in the last hour or so. This one just kind of came together. I had the topic in my mind, but I had this deep discussion and was going to go into all this reading from the gospel of hip hop, which we are going to do, by the way. We are have a nice reading from the gospel of hip hop. But I was going to go more into a study lesson. But this one I wanted to just get a little more looser with because, hip hop is indeed our lifestyle. Hip hop is a lifestyle, and specifically hip hop is consciousness as a lifestyle, as the way that we look at the world around us and the way that we feel inside, the way that we interpret who we are inside, and the way we paint ourselves into our environment, or the way we put ourselves out in our environment. Who do you say that you are? What kind of a person are we in our environment? Who are we really being? What is our purpose in our environment? And not letting our environment define us. No, we define who we are to our environment. Our environment, too many people, their environment defines who they are. And literally think about that. That environment has many people thinking that, I am my outer environment. I am my job. I am my workplace. I am my family. And that's how I only identify myself internally. But hip hop is the art of self-creation. And in the art of self-creation, we start with the inner man, the inner woman, the inner being. And it's, springing forward. We talk about this every week. And it's like this inner intelligence, this inner knowing that is always springing forward. And that's who we are. So this is going to get into awareness this week. We're going to be reading just the definition of awareness, which is actually a really quick definition. I was surprised, but I feel that we all have a sense and awareness of what awareness actually is for each of us. But I want to get into the dictionary definition of what awareness is. We'll also be reading from the Gospel of Hip Hop. And I was just before I jumped on here, I saw an old post of mine. Of a picture of Brandon Lee and Bruce Lee's son, Brandon Lee. And it's something that he wrote during an interview. He may have said it, I'm not sure. I'll have to go back and do the research. But during an interview, there's just about 3 paragraphs I want to read from Brandon Lee because it talks so much about the lifestyle of the martial artist, but it applies to the lifestyle of the hip-hopper. So we'll be getting into all that this evening. I just want to start off by saying, welcome you all here. I'm so glad to see each and every one of you here. I hope now that those who are tuning in on a weekly basis, that you're visualizing yourself being in this time and this space with me right now. Because as we say and remind every week, in the spirit, there's no such thing as time and space. Everything is happening right here, right now, in this time and space. Like literally all of creation is happening and is here in this room right now with us, including you. And although somewhere in the future, somewhere in the future, you'll be watching this video, and you'll be watching this video some other place that's not even in this room. But that's only in the 3D reality. That's only in our third dimension, our so-called physical reality. But the truth is, the true reality is that we're all here together in this room right here, right now. And I want to welcome you all here. I want to thank you all for being here. every week. This is such an empowering time every week for myself, because I know that I'm getting regulars now, and regular folks nobody's regular, by the way. Ain't nobody regular. I'm just saying, attending on the regular basis these message from the ministers, and I get feedback from a good 5 to 10 people every week, consistently from those same 5 to 10 people. So from me to you, thank you for that feedback. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for the comments that you leave and all of those things. Because what that does is that just lets me know that the word is going out and it's actually being heard. I'd be making these videos if it was just 2 people who was listening to these videos, for real. Because this is my purpose, and I don't know in the future, like, how many people are actually going to be listening to this video in the future. Millions, thousands, hundreds of thousands, I don't know. I don't know how many views it's going to get like that. And I don't really, this is the part of detachment that most people don't get. People, especially because everybody's so attached in the modern age to things, right? Everybody becomes so attached to getting likes and getting view counts and even sales. How many sales did I make this week? And all of a sudden the world is just these simple, basic mathematic equations, and then that's how somebody has self-esteem built off of that. That's how somebody's going to live. There's no purpose in that. There's no purpose for that. If people just want to be getting view counts, or people just want to be getting likes on their posts, like, what is that? Now, of course, you don't want to go out and say something and have nobody listen. I'm an MC. I love it when people hit me up and check out these messages from the ministers, or go on and download my albums and give me feedback on my music, or rock my music. Like I appreciate that beyond anything. But this is just my soul expressing itself. This is my lifestyle as a hip-hopper. It's like, I have to do this. If I don't do this, I actually suffer inside. Like, I actually suffer. It's the same way with them seeing. Like, if I'm not working on music, or I don't have music projects that I'm working on one right now called Electric Garden. Electric Garden, that's the name of the new album I'm working on. I don't have no timetables for when it's going to be out, but I got a whole album's worth of material written, and setting up the studio to get it recorded, and that's a whole process. But I just wanted to share that process with you all step by step while I was going through it, because I know there's a lot of MCs and producers and people who are interested in making albums tune into this show. This is just a side note, but once again, this is hip hop as a lifestyle. Hip hop, you don't stop. Like, this doesn't stop. It's like a faucet that the handle's broken, and hip hop just got to pour out of me all the time, And so this is part of that lifestyle. This is part of living that lifestyle. And so what I was mentioning earlier about the album, just to put a quick period on that as well, is part of this lifestyle is I want to show it happening in real time. I'm working on an album in real time. Got a new business that's launching, got other things going on, taking care of my parents. So there's a lot going on in my life right now, but I'm going to make that time and take that time to create an album, and you'll see how quick it can actually happen when hip-hop is your lifestyle, and put hip-hop first in your lifestyle. And that takes some adjustments. So like for myself, when I came up as an MC, right? When I came up as an MC, I've talked about this in the past, and I was with the teacher, KRS-One. Now remember, my old lifestyle used to be a landscaper. Fast forward 2005, I'm on tour with the teacher, and I've always loved hip-hop. I've always been hip-hop, but I've never really lived the hip-hop lifestyle up to that point, right? And so all of a sudden I'm out on tour with the teacher, and we're running around the world. We're running around the whole earth, and I'm learning his style, his hip-hop lifestyle. I'm learning from him what his hip-hop lifestyle is, and I'm enjoying every moment of it, And I'd see him in the studio. I'd be watching KRS-One, the greatest MC of all time, in the studio, right? And I'd be sitting there like my God is real. That's all I know is God is real, because how else would I explain? How in the world did I get here in the studio, just sitting here with the teacher, KRS-One, my favorite MC of all time, my favorite musical artist of all time. I mean, this is like me growing up, So I'm sitting there with my hero, and I'm sitting there learning about this lifestyle of hip hop from him directly. And so I would watch him, rocking the mic up in the studio. And these studios can be, $150, $200, $300, sometimes $400 an hour depending on the studio, $500 an hour depending on the studio. And I was like, yo, I can't wait to do this. Yo, I can't wait. I'm going to get my money going. My music's going to pop. I'm going to be rapping on the stage like the teacher. And I was saying this in 2005 after like 3 months. I was already telling everybody I was an MC. I'd never rapped before, right? Like I literally had never rapped before. And so I'm telling everybody that's what I am. I'm practicing my skills every day, by the way, because that's part of the hip hop lifestyle. Work on your skills every day, especially when you're developing those skills where they're at the beginning state. As you get along and you learn how to write a 16 or you learn how to write a song and you could do it more efficiently and you have like your neural pathways all fired up and you have your muscle memory and you have the way that you do and you have your techniques worked out, you don't have to work on your rhymes every day. But I still say you should work on your rhymes every day because you want to just keep improving and keep getting better as an MC. So I'm sitting there working on my craft as an MC, and like I'm whack at that time. Like I don't think I'm whack. My first rhyme is dope, but I was just like, trying to hang with the teacher and being up, seeing him up on stage and this whole lifestyle that he's living. I started feeling this like pressure and this tension, like, yo, man, I got to do all this. How am I going to get all this done? Like, I got to catch up. I got to move faster. And, that's where like Neo in the Matrix became such an inspiration because of the way he was able to move forward. But like, that's a 2-hour movie. Like, right? Like his whole journey takes 2 hours to watch on a movie. You can watch it 12 times in one day if you don't go to sleep, But this is real life, man. This is real life where you got 24 hours in a day to live a life and you got a family and bills to pay and food to eat and traveling to do and figure all these different things out and new neural pathways getting built up too. New receptors, new neurons firing in the brain and the body and the mind and the consciousness. So all of a sudden, I'm in this hip-hop lifestyle with the teacher, and I'm watching him at these pro-level studios. I'm saying, yo, that's what I want to do, man. That's what I'm going to do. So 6 months into it, I had written 9 songs. My first 6 months as an MC, I had written 9 songs, and I was working on them. And big up to Doughboy, DJ Doughboy out there for hooking a brother up with the beats. Like Doughboy, yo, man, I appreciate him so much because he gave me like the first CD of beats I ever had, and they were all dope. Like everyone was dope, and so I just started writing to him. And Doughboy was so cool, man. He was like, Zin, I love you, brother. You could work on any beat you want and just go for it, man. Yeah, and I was like, what? And so he's like $10 a beat. I was like, that's incredible, man. You don't find those deals nowhere. And people are seeing me running around with the Teacher KRS-One, so they're saying, oh, these beats are $500. I have people tell me beats was $3,000. And I was like, yo, I ain't got no $3,000. I got $4 in my pocket. I'm running around the world for the first time. Like I'm learning how to do this lifestyle. And so anyway, I'm watching him in the studio 6 months later. I've got 9 songs written. And so I go in and I go into the studio and I had saved up $2,500. Oh man. And I was like, $2,500 at $250 an hour. That's 10 hours in the studio. I could record 9 songs in 10 hours in the studio. I was just like, yo, this is great. And I was like so ready. I had all my rhymes written. I knew everything, right? But I got in the studio and it sounded different, like putting the headphones on and speaking into a Neumann U87 microphone, that gem right there, speaking into this like super high class microphone that like Frank Sinatra had actually used, right? And I seen the teacher using it, and I was sitting there spitting into this mic and running through all this outboard equipment with this professional sound engineer, and I'd watch teacher in the same studio time and time again. And I burnt through those 10 hours. I got like 6 songs recorded, but my timing wasn't right. My cadence wasn't right. My voice wasn't right. Like, because everything sounded different being on a microphone and hearing myself in the headphones like that as an MC. Every bit of it was different. and then learning how to patch in and how to make everything just right, how everything to sound perfect, and not have too many, because I was a live performer when I was younger, and I was in that punk band with my brother, so I was a live performer. But it didn't sound right in the studio, having all these deep breaths and things like that. So like it was a learning process. So I dropped $2,500 on a learning process. And in my mind, I was going to drop this $2,500 and have the whole thing mixed and mastered and done. I thought, okay, I could do these 6 songs. It takes me like 40 minutes to perform them all. I'll lay this out in a couple hours, and then Alex could just do the plugins and I just wanted a basic, I didn't want a lot of fancy stuff on the vocals. And then I was like, well, that sounds dope. And then he'll master it, and in 10 hours I'll have a whole album. And I'm thinking, yo, this is great. I could probably do that now, by the way. I wouldn't, but also in the studio, the creative process started. And I realized that being in this studio space, I started having new ideas for the songs. I started thinking if I layer my vocals here on the chorus, or I build them up here, it'll sound like a crowd of people, and I could do this over here. Then Alex is giving me ideas because he's an artist too. And all of a sudden, 10 hours was eaten up in 2 days. I had 2 5-hour sessions, $2,500 gone. And I had this a CD I couldn't even put out, and I couldn't, I was just like, man, I was crushed for a minute there because I had saved that money. I had worked hard for that money. I put in that money, so to just drop $2,500 like that when I had other expenses and things to take care of, yo, man, I had to reevaluate myself there. I was like, yo, man, Zin, what you gonna do? Because I had built up this hype in my head. In my head, I literally believed that I was gonna do 6 songs in 10 hours, or 9 songs in 10 hours, and lace it and make the greatest 9-song album ever made. And after only rapping for 6 months, right? And so I will never be defeated. And I was sitting there, and I was like, man, I'm watching the teacher's lifestyle, and here I am mimicking that lifestyle. Here I am doing the exact same thing he's doing. I just don't have at that time, let's see, that was 2005. So I didn't have, 25 years of experience behind me like he had already had. And so that, when it comes to lifestyle, hip hop being a lifestyle, don't compare yourself to other people, be inspired by other people, but work from where you're at, know where you're at, Where are you at on your journey right now? How many years of experience do you have, And work within those means as a hip-hopper. So for me, I also found out when I was in that studio, I was watching Alex work. I was like, I could do that. That looks dope, man. Oh, I would add a little more reverb there. Oh, I would actually add a little delay at the end of there. I'd want it to echo and pan through both the speakers. And I started, all of a sudden this engineer came out in me that I didn't even know I was at the time. I'd never thought about audio engineering before. But in that studio, I started thinking about it. And then all of a sudden, I started looking at I was like, I'm paying him $2,500. If I could do what he does, I don't got to pay nobody that money. And then I started looking, I was like, okay, so the next time I got, $2,500 saved up, I'm gonna get a nice microphone. I'm gonna get some headphones. I'm gonna get Pro Tools, and I'm gonna start learning how to engineer and record myself. So now see what I'm saying here. Now follow the consciousness here, as hip hop is consciousness, because hip hop is intelligent movement. So when we're talking about hip hop as consciousness, we have to start looking at what are our resources in our life. At that time, and even now, I didn't have the name and the reputation and the career that the teacher had. He had a 20-year career, 25-year career going at that time. That's a lot of momentum. He had already rocked 1 million shows and dropped 20-something albums at that time already in 2005. So for me, I wanted to match that, but also, at the same time, I'm learning who I am in all of this. What is my lifestyle as a hip-hopper? What does it mean for Zin Uru? And at the core of it, at the very core of it, my goal was to be the purpose is to be a teacher. At that time, even a minister, there wasn't even the word minister when I was making that album, right? And so I've got other things to do with the temple of hip hop. I can't just give all my time to MCing. But that's all I wanted to do was give all my time to MCing. But I also wanted to organize the people, organize the temple, organize the culture. I wanted to teach hip hop just like the teacher was out teaching hip hop. And all of a sudden, I got bills to pay. I got all these other things to do. I quit my job. All of a sudden, like this hip hop lifestyle is hitting me and coming at me, and it's hitting me like right in the face. Pap, every day. Pap, 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 pap. So I'm pushing forward. And pap, 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 pap. Steps back and push forward and pap, 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 pap. Steps back. And that's the way that the hip hop lifestyle is. Like you got to push through this thing. That's called willpower. This is the only way that hip-hopia is ever going to come into existence is through our collective willpower. But it's very easy because it's actually our natural state of being. And once I started shedding off all those things that I wasn't anymore, all those useless habits I had picked up over all the years, all of a sudden after putting in the work and putting in the time and putting in the effort, all of a sudden I started being able to make my own albums. All of a sudden, I started to be able to public speak. All of a sudden, I started being able to write and lead and teach and organize. But I dedicated every minute to that, and at the expense of my old lifestyle, so let's not front here. So if you're like, for those of you who are like pushing and hip-hop is your lifestyle, and that's it, hip-hop is your lifestyle, you know what I'm talking about already. Because you have your own unique way that you're doing it that's way different than mine, that's way different than the teachers, and way different than anybody else. But there's also all these similarities. Because it's like it's written in our DNA. This hip hop is written in our DNA. It's written in our water codes in our body. Like when you say I am hip hop and mean it, your water code starts responding and your crystalline energy of your body, like your crystal water body, starts structuring itself to hip hop. So, when you're in a transition from one to the other, from one lifestyle to the other, and by lifestyle, I mean that what you're doing day in and day out, what you wake up doing, what you go to bed thinking about. And there, you do other things. You go to the movies to get your mind off of it, to get some more inspiration. You go down, you go out on a hike out in nature somewhere. You go to the park, you throw a football around, whatever it is you do. There is breaks. You can take breaks. But when I say hip hop, you don't stop. When we say hip hop, you don't stop. There's like no days off for a hip hopper. For a true hip hopper, there's no days off. Because even if you take a day off, a day of rest, I'm going to rest today and just rest my physical body. I'm going to fast today. I'm not going to do any computer work. I'm not going to work on any music. I'm just going to, the mind starts working because the mind starts creating new ideas and inspiration. So that's that you don't stop part when your mind just starts being that. And that's like, I am hip hop. And what does that mean to me? Like, I am hip hop. And all of a sudden, that water code and your DNA code and your purpose starts moving everything around and crystallizing your energy body and your sight and your vision, and all that consciousness starts moving forward. All of a sudden this lifestyle starts appearing. And it's like it the whole time too. We know who we are the whole time. But as it's developing itself, we almost kind of like act like we don't know who we are, or we got to learn who we're not. We got to, it's just such an interesting thing. It's almost beyond words because it's an experience. So you can only put so many words, but it's something you got to experience for yourself. But when you're leaving that old lifestyle behind, there's actually people involved in that old lifestyle. There's actually events involved in that old lifestyle. There's all these other things happening in the habits from that old lifestyle. There's all these things you love about that old lifestyle. It ain't like you're trying to escape everything, but you're moving out of that old lifestyle into a new lifestyle. You say, hip-hop is my lifestyle. All of a sudden, for me, it started rushing me all over the world, all over the earth. I'm getting like hip-hop was crazy with me as consciousness. Like it just started moving with me. That's why I wanted to start it as consciousness too, because start with that consciousness, and then the culture just starts appearing, and then the product, just starts appearing. Capital H, lowercase I, lowercase p, lowercase h, lowercase o, lowercase p. Hip-hop is one word, consciousness. That produces capital H, lowercase I, lowercase p, space, capital H, lowercase o, lowercase p. Hip-hop is culture. The consciousness produces the culture. And the culture creates the product, and the product is spelled lowercase h, lowercase I, lowercase p, dash, lowercase h, lowercase o, lowercase p, hip hop. So the consciousness creates the culture, creates the product. And see, that's something that like nobody else is teaching but the temple of hip hop. That's it, it's us, that's who's teaching this. And I'm telling you, when you start at the consciousness, if you start at the consciousness, the MCing and the rapping, that comes easy. See, so for me, I started at the consciousness. Hip hop is consciousness. I saw the teacher doing hip hop as culture. His consciousness had brought him to the culture to make his product the CD. But seeing him in the studio in the culture, that was the way his consciousness had created him in that studio space. So the consciousness that I'm tapped into now is hip hop, which is the same consciousness that anyone who's tapped into hip hop is tapped into. That's God. That God consciousness, that's God itself. We're tapped into that God force. We're tapped into hip hop consciousness. And then all of a sudden it's going to create our own, it's going to create our reality as the culture around us because we're each unique expressions. So I'm watching the teacher, right? And he's in that big studio, but the consciousness, because I started with the consciousness, is adapting quickly. So, 2 months later, 2 months go by, I get my money up again, and I go out and I buy a microphone, I get some turntables. I was going to have a DJ come and mix and cut and scratch, and I was like, I'm not going to go to the studio and pay that or pay DJs to do this. I'll have a DJ come in and put some cuts and scratches on here. And I got Pro Tools, and I got the headphones, and I built a sound room, and all of a sudden I started just sitting there on Pro Tools, and that was it. Money was out, tour was over. I didn't have a job, I'm living at home, I'm having to hustle money any way that I can. Sell a little herb here and there, work a little odd job here and there, sell things off to the pawn shop. I got rid of everything I could possibly sell, because I wanted to MC and I wanted to keep this hip hop lifestyle alive and well and build this temple of hip hop. And so that consciousness began working, right? The consciousness started working, and I was like, I was up all hours of the night learning to mix, learning how to engineer, sound engineer. And I really enjoyed that, but I was only doing it to facilitate myself as an MC because I heard a certain sound. I wanted myself to sound a certain way. And so then I learned that, after you mix it, now you got to master it and have to learn how to do levels and volumes and edits and cuts and overlays and stereo, right and left. Like anybody who's a sound engineer out there knows what I'm talking about. And so I was teaching myself Pro Tools while I'm teaching myself how to MC, while I'm teaching myself how to teach hip hop and learning hip hop, and also having to go out on the tour with the teacher. So all of a sudden I started learning there's some patterns here. What is these repeated patterns that I could start doing in this lifestyle? I was like, okay. So when I be out on the tour with the teacher, that was the time for me to just grab beats and write the lyrics and practice those rhymes, because I didn't have a way to record out on, even though I was around studios, I didn't have the money to afford to go into the studios. And I was learning watching teacher go into studios. That was a school. That was the school of the temple of hip hop. I'm getting to sit I would just sit there in the corner and write and take notes and just witness what was going on with the teacher in all these different studios when we'd be out on tour. But my own consciousness, that own thing is hip hop as a lifestyle, hip hop you don't stop. I didn't go back to the hotel after a show and be like, I'm worn out. Let me click on watch television and pass out. I will grab my rhyme book and put the beats on and start writing about what I saw that night, or start writing these rhymes. So then, go out on tour for 2-3 months, and then I'd be home for 2 or 3 months, or 2 months, or whatever it would be. And then I'd hit the studio and start recording and did it. And so this is what I'm talking about. Hip hop you don't stop as a lifestyle. You got to start finding these patterns in your environment while you're taking care of your responsibilities. But you really got to do it. I was determined to have an album out the first year. It took the 2 years. It took me 2 years, and I made 2 albums in the first 2 years. Recorded, mixed, and mastered all myself while learning to engineer, learning how to write, learning how to rap. So when I say hip hop is a lifestyle, it really became my lifestyle. I became possessed by it. And I say that word possession, not it was like a spiritual consciousness, hip hop, had just taken over, and I was like, it didn't even take over, it was my real self, because that's what you got to remember. Like, hip hop is consciousness, that's who you really are. Like, that's why you're colorful in your life. That's why you sing or you dance or you rap, and you're attracted and you're drawn to, and you love hip hop and you can feel it, you know? That's why you're even watching this video, because you already know that consciousness is hip hop. Take it to the next step, take it to the next level. Because I've known a lot of people who don't, you know, they had those opportunities, and then 2, 3 kids come along, and then all of a sudden, like work and job and the bills and the family and everything starts piling up, and they don't get to work on their rhymes, and they don't get to work on their craft like they need to do. What are you working on a daily, on a weekly basis? Like, what are you putting your time, energy, and love into? And we got kids, we got to take care of the kids. We got family, we got to take care of the family. We got bills, we got to take care of the bills. But, like, you know, when I say hip hop is a lifestyle, what are you willing to sacrifice for that lifestyle? And when I say what are you willing to sacrifice, it's not even your choice of what you get to actually sacrifice. Because there was things like I wasn't willing to sacrifice that got sacrificed anyways in my life. Like, things that were taken out of my life that I in no way would have ever, like, I was like, no, that's not, I'm holding on to this. I'm like holding on to these things in my life, and they're just pulling away. I'm like, hold on, pow, boom, snap back. I'm like, whoa, they left my life, you know, it's gone. And I'm left with myself, and I'm left with my consciousness, and I'm left with my own hip hop lifestyle. What am I going to do about it? I'm going to move to Ohio. That's what I'm going to do about it. I'm going to move in with my homie Adonis. That's what I'm going to do about it. And we're going to record an album out there with my new homie Bach 1, and we're going to make the H-Law crew, and we're going to record album number 3. But this is by 2008, 2009. I'm already recording albums 3 and 4. So we're just hammering this. I'm hammering this. And at the same time, we're getting this book put together and written and putting out. We're selling t-shirts. We're doing whatever it is so we don't got to go get a 9-to-5 job. But for me, I wasn't making the money of an international rap star. I wasn't making no money like that. Every dollar that we made on the road was going to living on the road, because hotels are expensive, food is expensive, gas is expensive, the upkeep on the car is expensive. So all of a sudden I'm like, wow, this lifestyle is not cheap. What am I willing to sacrifice? Well, I'm willing to sleep on a couch in Ohio. I'm willing to sleep on the floor in Los Angeles. That's what I'm willing to do. I'm willing to sleep on a hard floor in a sleeping bag with a yoga mat and a backpack full of my stuff. That's what I'm willing to do. I'm willing to do my laundry in the sink if that's what I got to do, with shampoo if that's what I got to do. And that's what you got to ask yourself, like, what are you willing to do? And it wasn't like I thought, like, oh, I'm going to go down it, but these opportunities would come to work on certain projects or go certain places, and I had to get creative with that. I had to be willing, like, you mean if I'm going to go down to Los Angeles, and we've got, you know, teachers got 3 lectures down there and 2 shows, but I got to be down in Los Angeles for a month, I'm going to sleep on the floor. I'm going to sleep on a couch down there because I don't have $100 a night to spend on a hotel room. So this is where your faith comes in, and this is where it comes into, like, what are you really willing to do? And I would say, you know, this is really for younger people. When you're 18, 19, 20, 21, it's way easier to do all this. It's easier, but really it's not. Because I was doing it when I was 33, 34, 35. When everybody was telling me I was way too old to be doing that. Like, you better believe, like, my old friends were telling me I was way too old to be doing that. I had some of the nastiest, craziest things written and said about me. I was like, wow, y'all don't want to live your dreams either? Okay, that's on you. But I'm over here living something that feels so good to me, that is so real to me. This is who I really am. Peace out, y'all. Have a good life. I'm out. And you got to be like that, you know, because God wants to take you to places that you don't really know. God wants to take you to new countries. God wants to take you to new lands. God wants to take you to new experiences. And to have that new experience, like, you got to become like a child again. And that actually, with that being said, I want to read this interview from Brandon Lee, the great Brandon Lee, Bruce Lee's son, Brandon Lee. Incredible martial artist, great actor, killed right when he was about to pop, you know. And but I had followed his career because I had followed Bruce Lee, and so as soon as Brandon was in like movies or TV shows, I'd watch him and read anything I could. But talking about the hip hop lifestyle, talking about what are you really willing to do, you know, for that hip hop lifestyle? What sacrifices are you willing to make? What extremes are you willing to go to? And not robbing and killing and shooting, that's fantasy make-believe. But like sleeping on couches, sleeping on floors, eating rice and beans, missing a few meals here and there, having to sleep in the back of a car. You know, what are you willing to do? You know, the teacher went homeless. The teacher was homeless on the street of the Bronx as he was coming up. He left home, went homeless on the street in the Bronx to pursue his dream, to pursue his purpose as an MC, as his lifestyle, as hip-hop is the lifestyle. What are you willing to do? And this is really short, but I'll put this up on the screen while I read this from Brandon Lee. He says, well, I would say this. When you move down the road towards mastery of the martial arts, and just read hip-hop right there. When you move down the road towards mastery of the martial arts, hip-hop, your lifestyle, and you know, you're constantly moving down that road. See, constantly moving down that road. You don't stop. You end up coming up against these barriers inside yourself that will attempt to stop you from continuing to pursue the mastery of the martial arts. That's the mastery of yourself, the mastery of the hip-hop lifestyle. And these barriers are such things as when you come up against your own limitations, when you come up against the limitations of your will, your ability, your natural ability, your courage, how you deal with success and failure as well, for that matter. And as you overcome each one of these barriers, you end up learning something about yourself. And sometimes the things you learn about yourself can, to the individual, seem to convey a certain spiritual sense along with them. It's funny. Every time you come up against the true barrier to your progress, you are a child again. And it's a very interesting experience to be reduced once again to the level of knowing nothing about what you are doing. I think there's a lot of room for learning and growth when that happens. If you face it head on and don't choose to say, screw that, I'm going to do something else. We reduce ourselves at a certain point in our lives to kind of solely pursuing things that we already know how to do. You know, because you don't want to have the experience of not knowing what you're doing and being an amateur again. And I think that's rather unfortunate. It's so much more interesting and usually illuminating to put yourself in a situation where you don't know what's going to happen than to do something again that you already know essentially what the outcome will be within 3 or 4 points either way. Brandon Lee. Wow. You know, every time I read that, it pops up probably once or twice a year. That pops up, and I read that, and I meditate on that. It's just one of my favorite pieces of anybody's ever said or written, because that's the experience. You know, when you come to a new lifestyle, when you go to a new place, and you don't know it, it's like you're reduced to not knowing. You're reduced to that child again. And if you've got a healthy inner child, or you've got peace with your inner child, like, it makes it easier. But you got to make that peace too when you're in these new environments. That's that spiritual thing that's happening. All of a sudden you're like childlike in this new environment, but you're also a grown man or a grown woman, and you got these responsibilities, and you hit these barriers, and you hit these walls, and you have these great breakthroughs and these great victories, and then you have these incredible setbacks and these incredible defeats, and you got to learn from them both and not take any of them personally. So stepping out on the hip-hop lifestyle, you're stepping out on an adventure. And so many people limit themselves to doing what they already know to do. They write the same album year after year, or they're afraid to write an album, so it takes them 10 years to write an album. Should only, it's like, wow. And then you hear, you know what, I call out no names. How many artists did you grow up liking, but they just disappointed as they got older, where, you know, a Zin Uru or a KRS-One, we stay fresh constantly. Every new album's a new experience. Because my life, every day, like the hip-hop lifestyle, is always a new experience. It's always a new challenge. Because hip-hop, you don't stop. So this growth that we're experiencing, this growth that you're going through in life, get used to that growth. You are a tree of life. You're going to keep growing. You're just the seed sprouting through the darkness right now, my nobility. We are literally just starting to break through the earth right now. And we're going to grow into a giant sequoia tree. You know, a giant tree forever. So don't be sitting there thinking that, like, oh, it's a little uncomfortable right now, but then I'm going to sit there and then I'm just going to hit cruise control and my career is going to take care of itself. And now that I know how to rap, I just have to do this and this. And I just know my lifestyle now, and I'm 40 and 50 and 60, and I just spent 30 years doing pretty much the same routine. Like, how is that even challenging? How's that even challenging you to grow? Hip-hop, you don't stop. Hip-hop is consciousness. That lifestyle is going to challenge you to keep growing. And sometimes we think we know who we are, and then we learn more about ourselves. We learn more depth about ourselves. We age like fine wine. But we are divine in our core. And we got all the time in the world, but we got no time to waste. And you know, and I'm speaking to my nobility of every age here. But you youngsters out there, you 18, 19, 20-year-olds, you got no time to waste. Work hard when you're young so you can play when you're older. Don't play when you're young so you have to work hard when you're older. Work hard when you're younger so you can play while you're older. Get that career launched while you're young. Put thousands and thousands and thousands of hours, put every minute of every day into your craft. When you're 17, 16, 18, 19, 20. Put every minute, every ounce of energy and chi and life force into mastering your craft and mastering yourself at that young age. Because you have different opportunities when you're young. Your body just does things like you don't really gotta, like it just recovers so quickly. And my body recovers quickly, but I'm so honed in now as I've grown and aged like fine wine, that I got to think about every move I make. But when I was 20, I was just so dumb, and I was great, man. I was just like, I could like bounce off a building and just get back up the next day and run around, you know? I had like limitless energy. Now I've got focused limitless energy, but I had just this like wild energy as a young man, and y'all know what I'm talking about. Take that wild energy and focus that wild energy on your wild style, on your rhymes, on your dance, on your entrepreneur, on your business, on you, on your studies, on your spiritual growth, on your health, love, awareness, and wealth while you're young. And now we're all young at heart, right? We're hip-hop. We got the fountain of youth. Some of you in your 40s, 30s, 50s, whatever you in. What are you willing to sacrifice for that? You might be surprised, because if your soul is hurt and your soul is dying, there is no price worth selling your soul for. There is no human being alive worth selling your soul for. There is no car, home, job, event worth selling your soul for. None of it. I know, I was there. I was selling my soul short every day, working a job I hated. But then I was sleeping on, I was living in a 5-bedroom house with 2 cars and a stock refrigerator, smoking good weed every day. I was working hard, but I was taking care of myself, doing those things I like, going to the movies, da-da-da-da-da. But my soul wasn't feeling it. And then all of a sudden, when I was sleeping on couches, my soul was feeling it. I was feeling my soul. My soul was awake and sleeping on a couch and sleeping on a hardwood floor as somebody who's way too old to even be doing that according to everybody else's rules, according to society's rules and society's little box that they want to put everybody in, society's little robotic self. And not our society, not hip-hop society. I'm talking about mainstream society. Fit in our little box, be a little robot. You know, that's that part of society. You gotta just like, fuck all that. Who cares what they say? Do about it, because you get to decide who you are, and you get to decide what you're going to do and when you're going to do it. Especially when it comes to your purpose, especially when it comes to your lifestyle. What are you willing to do? I don't know. I have no answers for you. I can only tell you what I was willing to do and what I had to go through, and it's completely different than my mentor's story. But there's the same elements there. We were both houseless. Both were going missing meals. You know, it's the same story. I wasn't on the streets of the Bronx. I was on couches in Ohio, Dayton, Ohio. I was sleeping on floors in Boyle Heights and out in the Inland Empire, and San Francisco, and Oregon, and New York, and Florida. Like that's what I was doing. You know, so somehow these things got to happen to you, but what is it for you? And I'm saying it seriously now too, for those who are really, really wanting to get the mysteries of what this means, and it's not just helping your life, but you're becoming a whole new creation. Like, where are you gonna go? You got to follow that spirit. You got to follow that inside of you. And yeah, you got responsibilities, and some responsibilities you just can't let go, so you got to drag them along with you. Got to make it work. You have to make it work. And when you have faith in God, oh, I had a slice of pizza when I was hungry, you know, and I was so happy and grateful for that slice of pizza. It was better than any 5-course meal. Ate that slice of pizza, $2, got myself nourished, wrote my rhymes that night, slept on a wooden floor that night on a little thin yoga mat with a sleeping bag. What are you willing to do? What sacrifices are you willing to make if hip-hop is your lifestyle? And hip-hop is consciousness. And like I said, I'm talking on a deep level here, because I'm talking to the future, and I'm talking to the people in this room, so I see y'all here. I see y'all here. I know you're all here. And this is the only way that we're building Hiphopia, by the way. Is the only ones, the ones who are going to actually build Hiphopia and build Hip Hop City, the ones who are actually going to do that have to be hip-hop, you don't stop, have to be hip-hop is consciousness as your lifestyle to build this city. That's it. That's it. Those who just stop at culture, hip-hop is culture, they can't build Hip-Hop City. They can't. They don't have the capacity. The wiring's not going to work. Because the consciousness, they're not self-aware. They're aware of hip-hop as culture, and that's dope. Big up to the ones who are just hip-hop as culture. That's major. Some of them are very successful in just that, and if you're successful in just that, you may not want to let go of that. When we start getting into hip-hop as consciousness, and that is your hip-hop lifestyle, that hip-hop's going to do things to you and do things through you that you never even knew could happen. Just like Brandon Lee was saying, you're going to be reduced to not knowing. You're going to have to do things new. You're going to have to become the student. Your cup's going to have to become empty. You're going to have to become a child again. And you're a child of God, so you're relying on God, and that's where faith comes in. And then that faith over and over, that's confidence. You start building up confidence like, yo, wait a minute. I didn't starve. Wait a minute, I had a floor and a sleeping bag to sleep on. Like, what do you really need? One meal a day and somewhere to sleep and lay your head safe. That's it. That's all you require. Now, TJ actually slept outside on park benches in the Bronx in New York. I've been there. I saw park benches that he slept on. He pointed them out to me. I feel fortunate I never had to actually sleep on the streets. Maybe you would have to. I don't know. Maybe it's just the floor somewhere in a friend or a family member's home, or even in a garage. I've slept in plenty of garages too. And then it's crazy in that lifestyle too. I would stay in the nicest hotels in Las Vegas or Europe. We'd be on tour, staying in the nicest hotels in Europe, and then a month later I'm sleeping on a floor somewhere. One night, Bach 2183, Bach 1 H-Law crew, he'll attest to this. We were laughing because we had three of us sleeping on a floor in a 2-bedroom apartment. We rented out 1 bedroom, and we were all sleeping on a floor. We each had a pillow and a blanket that Simone had given to us. And we sat there, and we were all sleeping on that floor and for weeks, and we were eating like bags of corn chips and cans of refried beans. Like that was it. Like beans and corn chips was our meal, and you know, and water. And so like we're doing that, and then all of a sudden we're sitting there in this. The teacher has a show in Vegas that he's doing at the Bellagio every week. They're paying him for this show in Vegas at the Bellagio, and so each week. On Saturday night, we're going to the Bellagio, staying at the nicest hotel in this like master suite with these gigantic puffy beds and these warm, great showers and these clean towels and these couches and rooms and giant screen televisions and looking out over the city lights. So one minute we're there in that world, and then the next minute it's sleeping back on the floor for another week. And you know what the truth is? I enjoyed both of them because they're both an illusion. The nicest hotel room in Las Vegas is an illusion, just like the floor is an illusion. Because once your soul is right, once your inner person is right, once you're living that right, and once you're really feeling yourself, and you really know, like, yo, I'm where I'm exactly supposed to be, and I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing right now. You don't care about none of the outside stuff. Yeah, you want to be comfortable. Yeah, you want to be fed. Yeah, you want a nice bed to lay on and sleep on. Yeah, you want all that stuff, and you're going to have it. But if your soul ain't right, it don't matter where you're at or what's going on. You ain't gonna feel right until your soul is right. And is your soul right? And I'm asking you right now, is your soul right all the way? And it's a work in progress too, right? We're perfecting ourselves as a work in progress. But like where's your soul right now? My nobility, where's your soul right now? Are you feeling what you're doing right now? Are you feeling what you're doing when you're waking up every day? Because you only got this life. Yeah, there's reincarnation, but good luck with that. Good luck with wasting a life. Yeah, there's reincarnation, but good luck with that. You know, there ain't no, like, wow. Like you're just going to burn a life away because there's a chance you might be coming back. There's a chance you ain't coming back too. I know we're coming back. I'm coming back again. I came back before. I'll come back again. I'm eternal being. I know what this earth is about. I know how many times I've been here. I can remember that. But like for real? If I've learned any lesson in any life, and you've learned any lesson in any life, it's like you got no life to waste. And the system is designed to drain you and waste your time and steal your life. Steal your life. That's what the system wants to do. It's built on stealing people's lives. Stealing it. Do you know how valuable this life is? Do you know how valuable this body is? Do you know how valuable you are? Don't let the ego of the world tell you you're nothing. You are great. You are amazing. You can do superhuman things that you're not even aware of. Wake up your soul force. You are Neo. You are Trinity. You're none of them. You're something greater. You're Christ. Just imagine who you are and wake up to that reality. Quit playing yourself. Quit playing God. Let's read from the Gospel of Hip Hop. Oh, I never got to, we'll put up awareness real quick. So we're talking about hip hop, as a lifestyle and being aware of hip hop as a lifestyle. That's what we're talking about, awareness right now. You just see the word aware, it's an adjective. Definition number 1, having knowledge or cognizance. Simple. What is awareness? It's having knowledge or cognizance. Study, do your work, gain that knowledge, get that experience, and be cognizant of what you're doing. Be aware of what you're doing. Number 2, the archaic form is vigilant and watchful. Vigilant and watchful. Like, your awareness, be vigilant and watchful. Watch it. Be mindful of it. Be vigilant day in and day out. Keep that fire stoked. Keep that flame stoked. That's what awareness is. It's being aware of what I'm doing. It's being hip to my hop. Hip is the awareness. Being hip to your hop. Why do you move? We're going to be reading from the fourth overstanding, the H law, from the awareness section. The H law is health, love, awareness, and wealth. And this is going to be on, on page 298. We're reading paragraphs 18 through 28. I'll put them up on the screen here, and I'll just commentary along, and we'll bring this to a close tonight. This is hip hop as a lifestyle. Hip hop is a lifestyle. So ask yourselves this, and I'll show you why I chose this passage. I was actually going for a whole other passage, but this one just popped right out. With more and more awareness, you should be able to do and see more and more into the true nature of your reality. You are doing what is happening to you. The observer affects the observed. We only see what we want to see. Now stop there. We only see what we want to see. So if you want to see your hip-hop lifestyle in your environment, if you really want to see it, that's all you will see. Therefore, if at the subatomic quantum level of reality, the observer and the thing observed are really two aspects of the same event, it is accurate to teach that life is what you make it, and that you truly get what you expect. That it truly is all in your mind, God willing. So what do you expect? That's what I'm asking you, my nobility. Do you expect a hip-hop lifestyle? If you expect it, you're going to experience it. You're going to live it. You're going to be it. Because you and it it's you. The hip-hop lifestyle is you. At the quantum level, two supposedly separate things, like an observer and an atom, seem to affect each other in such a way that if the observer looks at an atom, it is a particle in a fixed position in space. Yet if the same observer is not looking at the atom, it remains a wave in superposition in space. Meaning that it is everywhere at once until we look at it again. Our true being seems to exist in a unified field of infinite possibilities that we call God. Everything seems to be going on at the subatomic level at the same time in the same space until we choose one outcome by denying all others. It is perception that creates reality. It seems that physical matter is both particles and waves at the same time, meaning that there are physical as well as non-physical existences to everything our senses can detect. Even we are physical, non-physical beings. Actually, the body is the mind in particle form, and the mind is the body in wave form. Read that over and over again. Highlight that. Look at that every day. The body is the mind in particle form, and the mind is the body in wave form. This body right here is just my mind in particle form. And this mind is just my body in wave form. It's the same thing. You and your spirit are same. You are one. You are the wholeness. That's what we are. We are the spirit. There's no separation between spirit and physical. It's the same thing. One's a wave, the spirit, the other's a particle, the physical. It's the same thing. And when you get into water, it all makes sense. The truth of the matter, which is water, the truth of the matter is that physical reality and the observer of physical reality are two aspects of the same unified field event. The observer affects what the observer sees. We basically see what we want and need to see. Particles and waves, what makes waves? Water. Sound makes waves. It's the same thing. Water and sound, like sound moves through water. That's what the wave is, that's what it is. This is not empty space here. Sound going through empty space is actually sound going through water. It's waving through water. There is moisture in the air, H2O. There's water in the air. There's literal water particles, and oxygen itself, what we call oxygen, which is really a being, is consciousness. What we call oxygen, water is H2O. And so water has 2 hydrogen and 1 oxygen. And so the oxygen is a part of water. It's its own form of water. And then there's actually hydrogen in the air. That's what we get from the sun. And so now we have hydrogen and oxygen in the air, and they can measure the moisture in the air. When you go, why does your hand get steamy and warm? When you put it on a window, because your breath itself is putting moisture and water into the air. Particles and waves, my nobility. What is the waves? The waves is the water. Woo, we're getting deep. The truth of the matter is that physical reality and the observer of physical reality are two aspects of the same unified field event. The observer affects what the observer sees. We basically see what we want and need to see. This goes for our other 4 senses as well. We are telling physical matter through our sense perception what we want to smell, feel, taste, sound, and look like based upon what we have decided over many years shall be real for us. In essence, everyone affects the reality they see, hear, touch, smell, and taste. You affect your reality. We affect our reality. That's how we can change it. And that's how that's the hip-hop lifestyle. Defining our reality, not letting this randomness define who we are. We define who we are, and we tell this reality who we are. Because we are it. We are our environment. Our environment is us. And when you change your consciousness, when we change our thinking, the outer just starts reflecting what the inner person is. Like this book. This was our inner person. This was the teacher's inner person. He told me about it, and I just joined him on the vision, and it became my inner person too. And it vibrated into this reality. It waved out into this reality. The wave, the thought wave, the conscious wave of the mind that thought about this, just put it in the particle form. We focused on it long enough that we saw the particle form of the waves appear into a book. Many books. And many more people joined in on it. So now those waves that what used to just be waves, the consciousness, what used to just be waves, became particles into a book. And now we see it as a book, but this is still the waves. This is still the waves. The physical world is a potential until we choose it to be what we desire. Space is a substance, environment that helps us to see separate things. It blocks reality so that we can get specific things done. At this level of understanding, we are the universe itself, focused upon who we are and it is, and where we are right now. Meditate upon this paragraph before going further. Let's meditate on paragraph 24 again. The physical world, which is your environment and everything in it, is a potential until we choose it to be what we desire. Just like the gospel of hip-hop, we chose to have the gospel of hip-hop in our time and space. We chose that, we made that choice, and that was our desire, and it came out. It really happened. Space is the substance/environment that helps us to see separate things. It blocks reality so that we can get specific things done. I say every week, time and space are an illusion, but that's what the illusion of space is for. That's why we have this space between us, and you can see me and I can see you. That's why we have this space. so we can see separate things to block reality so that we can get specific things done. At this level of understanding, we are the universe itself, focused upon who we are, it is, and where we are right now. We are the universe focused upon itself. We are the universe. We are the waves. We are the particles. We are the consciousness. We are the culture. That's us. That's who we are. Meditate upon this paragraph before going further. As the spirit/human beings, the universe is seeing what it is capable of as us. Read that one again. As spirit human beings, the universe is seeing what it is capable of as us. To know that you are not in the universe, but that you are the universe itself is self-awareness. To know that you are an idea, a possibility, a hope, a tryout in God's mind, this is self-awareness. To know that God is depending upon you to fulfill the purpose designed for you is self-awareness. Do you know that? Do you know that God is depending upon you to fulfill your purpose? How great is that? Like God is depending upon us to fulfill our purpose. God is depending on you. What does that say about you? To create yourself is self-awareness. For when you can create yourself, you know yourself. And when you know yourself, you know God. Not that you are God, but that you are God's. You belong to the very fabric of the spiritual realm itself. Your intention is your answer to God's purpose for your existence. Look at that. What is your intention now? You can't hide from God. Be who you say that you are. Be the best version of yourself that you say that you are. At every moment, your best understanding, your best overstanding. Your intention is your answer to God's purpose for your existence. Your intention is what affects the very fabric of your space-time reality. It is not about your words so much as it is about the intention behind your words, the emotion you put into your statements, the feelings and graphic mental pictures that occur simultaneously in the mind while speaking, the moaning and groaning of one's being. These are what the universe listens to and responds to. See, that's the intention. And this universe, this is the universal feel, the feeling. This is what we're talking about here. What are you emoting? What is your vibrational frequency going out into the universe? It's important. The words are important, but what's the meaning and the intention and the feeling and the vibration and the sound? What are you putting behind your words? Do you really feel it? That's that soul we were talking about earlier. Put your soul into it. The universe responds to that soul quick. Therefore, by believing in ourselves as attuned hippopas with special abilities to complete our tasks in this reality, we command the fabric of life itself toward the aim of our desires. Again, everyone affects the reality they see and experience. So what do you see and experience? What do you see and experience? Do you see your hip-hop lifestyle? Because know this. Whatever you need or require is in your immediate environment. So if you're saying, yeah, I want to live my hip-hop lifestyle, it's in your immediate environment right now because it's within you first. You got to start thinking different, feeling different. And once that happens, the reality starts changing around it. And the gospel just said, as an attuned hip-hopper, go study. If you got a copy of the Gospel of Hip-Hop, go to the 17th overstanding, the Temple of Hip-Hop, and go to the back to the degrees of temple members and look and see what an attuned hip-hopper is and start studying that. But study what a hip-hopper is, what a true hip-hopper is, what a templeist is, and then what an attuned hip-hopper is. Study that. Study that this whole week. Study it. Read it 5, 10 times. Read it 10 times. Read it 10 times because then you'll know what you're aiming for. What is your trajectory? What we were talking about last week. Your trajectory as an attuned hip-hopper. Say, yo, my trajectory, I'm aiming for an attuned hip-hopper right now. Let me know what that is. Let me define it. And then read it 10 times. It's only like 5 paragraphs. Read it 10 times. We only remember 10% of what we read. So if you read it 10 times, 10 to 15 times, you're going to remember 100% of it. So if you aim, your trajectory is an attuned hip-hop, find out what that attuned hip-hop actually is. That's your homework. But one of the parts I want to talk about in there, and one of the things to really know, is this is a gradual process. This happens gradually. It doesn't happen overnight. Some things surprise you and some things pop up overnight. You got to be ready for them. But that's the process. If you're not ready for studio time to pop up overnight, then you haven't been prepared. You haven't gradually been preparing your way. If your rhyme isn't ready when you hit the studio, that's on you. If you're waiting to get into the studio to start your career, if you're waiting to the studio to start your album, you're wasting your time. Get a CD of your music and play it until you are sick of it, till you don't even want to hear the beat anymore, till you've rapped it 10, 20, 30 different ways in different times and you've got it memorized. Or you know exactly what you want to do, especially in the beginning. Just get that. If you're waiting to get in the studio and get that time and that money, work on your rhymes, have 5 albums ready. Maybe you got 5 albums worth of material written because you're so hungry as an MC that by the time you finally hit the studio, you got 5 albums ready to go and you just bust them out like that. It's a gradual process though. It's the day-to-day. That's why it's a lifestyle. It's a gradual process. And once you master your MCing, master another part of your life. And once you master that, master something new and take on new challenges every year. Every decade, take on new challenges. Take on those new challenges in life. Don't get stagnant in life and plain. That's how you get old. That's how people grow old. They get stagnant in life and they don't grow anymore. They don't want to grow anymore. They're just growing really slow and it's painful for them. That's how they get old. That's how people get old. And there's old people at 25, 27, 30. I've known them. Age is an illusion. Time is an illusion. It's just a number. It's some random, it's a random construct of the colonizer. What we call 48 years old is some random construct of the colonizer. Like 48 years does not even exist. Even the way they measure the sun, as the sun moves around the earth, they're measuring the whole thing wrong. Like the Gregorian calendar measures time wrong. The 60-second clock measures time wrong. We're living in a colonized system that doesn't even know how to measure time right. They're idiots. Like I'm telling you, the people who made up this system are idiots, plain and simple. The Gregorian calendar was made by fools. The mathematics system we use in the United States of America was created by fools. Like the college education, they're creating fools. And I say that, well, I mean it. I've met them. They don't know nothing. They just go on blabbing about what they think they know. But at the very root, what was created at first was created by fools. The way they build these houses, created by fools. Now, I'm thankful for this house, but like using this material in this way with these corners and these edges with no feng shui, no flow of nature, it's disrupting nature. Fools built this. Fools made these measurements. And I mean it, fools. Fools created the 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour. That's a bunch of foolishness. It's a lie. Whatever age you think you are, that's a lie. Like it's literally a lie. The Gregorian calendar is a lie. It's a lie. Do you know how many people, lifestyles, how many indigenous native people from all over the earth measured time and space differently in alignment with the stars and with the moon and with the sun and with God and with sounds of the universe, measuring things that we don't even see anymore? You know how they measured all of that? They were in tune. Do you know how many had to get murdered and wiped out and snuffed out to go with this foolish Gregorian calendar? Like, do you understand the magnitude of that? And you know what's dope? All those calendars are still around. The calendar keepers are still alive and well. They're still out there. And you know what's dope too? We get into our own nature. We just make our own calendar. Hip hop, that's what a hip hop lifestyle is. It's not just about being a rapper or being a DJ or being a B-girl or being a B-boy or being a graffiti artist or being an entrepreneur. It's not about any of that. It's about all of those. Yes, it's all part of it. But hip hop as a lifestyle is about us making our own calendars, us measuring the stars, us coming up with our own zodiac signs. Not even using the word zodiac. Us coming up with our own measurement of seasons. We can do that. We're geniuses. We're geniuses living in a system created by fools and idiots. And when I say fools and idiots, I mean, have you ever looked at the president? These guys are fools and idiots. And no diss to any of them. Then maybe I didn't want to hurt nobody's feelings there. But these politicians are fools and idiots. You wouldn't trust them to watch and feed your dog for a week. Fools and idiots. These college professors, fools and idiots. And I mean that. Sorry if anybody's feelings get hurt. There are some experts. Big up to Professor Zizwe. He is a genius, but he's hip hop. There are hip hoppers and there are geniuses from other cultures, and there are geniuses in the school system, and there are geniuses out there. But the system itself was created by fools. Because they colonized a system that was created by geniuses. They colonized a calendar that was created by geniuses. They didn't understand the calendar that they colonized. They didn't know the code. So they made this foolishness. And that's why everything's all wonky and doesn't make sense, and why nobody knows what time of day it is. Because they really don't even know what day it actually is. So hip hop as a lifestyle, hip hop you don't stop. You know what time of day it is. Today is hip hop. Where are you in Hiphopia? Imagine that. Everything exists right here, right now. Well, I exist in Hiphopia right now. You exist in Hiphopia right now. If you say it, and when I say I exist in Hiphopia, my sound, word, vibration, my tone, everything, my environment knows I live in Hiphopia. My being, my water knows I live in Hiphopia. My God knows I live in Hiphopia. The entire universe knows I live in Hiphopia all the time. I never leave it. Anywhere I go is Hiphopia. Anything I do is what a hip-hopper does and is doing. I am hip-hop. And so are you. Just come to that awareness. It takes time. It's a gradual process. But it's so much fun. It's so much joy. Your soul is singing. You feel me? That's the promised land, is letting your soul sing and letting who you are be who you are. And this is the opportunity. Our parents didn't have this opportunity like this. We got this opportunity like this. Don't miss out on the miracle. Don't miss out on the promise. The hip hop lifestyle. You will create new ways to heal people. You will create new ways to make homes. You will create new ways to measure time and space. You will do all of that. What is your hip hop lifestyle? Hip hop is a lifestyle. Hip hop is the answer to our suffering. Hip hop is the art of self-creation. Hip hop is God. Wake up, my nobility. You are hip hop. I am hip hop. We are hip hop. What are we? We're going to Hiphopia. We are going to the promised land. I hope you are ready. I hope you are ready. I hope you're ready, my nobility. We are going to the promised land. And those who hip hop is a lifestyle for, you're going to the promised land. You're already in the promised land. And we are building Hiphopia. This is our awareness. This is our being. This is our nobility. Peace and so much love to you. See you next week. And there it is. Hip!